San Diego Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. As today the Padres take on the New York Mets in the final game of a 3-game series. Our pitching matchup today for the Mets, right-hander Robert Stock, and for the Padres, right-hander Michael King. Hi, good everybody. Sam Levitt with you from inside our San Diego studios. First pitch coming up at 10:10 a.m. here on the West Coast. Little Padres and pancakes for you on a Wednesday morning as the Padres go for a series win in the Big Apple. Coming up in the next 50 minutes, a lot to do. You'll hear from Padre manager Craig Stammen. You'll hear from today's starting pitcher Michael King. Last night's winning pitcher Robbie Ray. We check in with Gwynn Jr. in just a few minutes and much, much more. But first, it's time to set the table. Brought to you by Fraser Farms Market. Set your table with the highest quality of natural and organic products from Fraser Farms Market, a San Diego original since 1971 with 3 locations, La Mesa Vista and Oceanside, and at FraserFarmsMarket.com. Padres enter today 68-59. They are playing some good baseball right now. They've won 18 of their last 24 games. They begin the day sitting in the National League's final wildcard spot, a 2-game lead on Arizona for that final spot. Padres are 3-2 so far on this road trip to Cleveland and New York. The Padres trying to avoid dropping a series for the first time in their last 8 series today. The Mets, meanwhile, come in 57-70. They've certainly played better baseball lately. 10-4 in their last 14 games. Well, the Padres lost on Monday in the series opener. Last night, though, Fernando Tatis Jr. put on a show near the lights of Broadway. Let's rewind.
Did you miss what happened in the last Padres game? Let's take a look back with our Padres Rewind on the Padres Radio Network.
Rookie left-hander Zach Thornton on the mound for the Mets. His first pitch got sent a long way.
First pitch is on the way. Tatis swings, hits it a mile. Deep to left field, way back. Oh, yeah, gonna go. Second deck in left for Fernando Tatis Jr., and it's 1-0. One pitch into the game.
Tatis hit it 452 feet, his 14th home run of the season, and he was just getting started. The Mets had the bases loaded in the second. Francisco Lindor at the plate.
Here's the 1-0. Lindor hits it in the air, deep down the right field line. Fernando all the way into the corner, at the wall, leaps up, and did he catch it? He's holding, he's waiting. He did! What a play! Fernando went up over the right field wall and took a grand slam away. Of all the robberies he's ever made, this one is the best.
As good as it gets. So instead of the Mets up 4-1, Padres still led 1-0. Padres still led 1-0. Going to the 5th inning, a runner on base for guess who? Mr. Fernando.
2-1 is hit in the air, deep to right field. Bench is going back onto the track. He's at the wall. This one, gonna go! Fernando does it again. Apo Taco for Tatis. His second of the night. A 2-run homer, and it's 3-0.
Padres led 3-1 after 5. Robbie Ray went 6 innings despite a lot of early base traffic. He gave up just 1 run, left in line for the win. Top half of the 7th inning, Padres had 2 aboard against the Mets bullpen. That set things up for Ty France.
First pitch, swinging France, lines it into left field, a base hit. Bowen rounding third on his way. Ewing's throw to the plate. Here we go again. The tag, not in time. Not this time. And the Padres have added on. It's 4-1.
Padres led 4-2 going to the 9th inning. Manny Machado provided some insurance.
And Machado swings, hits it in the air, deep to left field. Ewing's going back at the wall. This one gonna go! Manny Machado with his 3rd hit of the night. And it's an add-on homer in the top of the 9th inning. Padre lead is now 5-2.
Padres led 5-2 going to the bottom half of the 9th inning. It was time for Mason Miller.
And Bichette swings and misses. Strike 3. 101-mile-an-hour fastball to end the game. Miller puts him down 1-2-3 with a pair of strikeouts. And the Padres have evened the series with a 5-2 win thanks to an all-time night by Fernando Tatis Jr.
Tatis drove in 3 runs. He stole 4 runs away from the Mets, and the Padres, like Jesse said, evening up this series at a game apiece, sets up the rubber match of this series coming up at 10:10 a.m. here on the West Coast. As we get ready for this one, let's go out to NYC.
Let's take a trip up to the Padres broadcast booth for a deep dive on today's matchup with Tony Gwynn Jr. in our Padres game preview on the Padres Radio Network.
Well, Tony, now that you've had a night to sleep on it, reflect on what Fernando did yesterday. How do you put into context that game by El Nino in yesterday's win? It was quite remarkable.
I think it's just one of many on the list of just crazy, insane things that Toddy has done in a game. That probably ranks somewhere near the top, just given all that was done and his production. But I would be lying if I said I was surprised or that any of this is new for Toddy. This is kind of who he is and who he has been.
Let's talk about the starting pitching matchup today in this series finale, Tony. Michael King on the mound for the Padres. His starting Cleveland sort of was what his season has been to this point. 6 innings, 3 earned runs given up. The Padres end up winning the game. Keeps the Padres right in the game, but he gave up 2 home runs. Certainly made some mistakes. Tony, to you, what's the difference right now between who Michael King has been this season, which is good, it's reliable, and sort of that next level for Michael King that I think we all know and he knows that he's certainly capable of?
I would say that for Michael, that last start was a little bit more of what I think Michael has shown in the past. I know he gave up the 2 homers. Those were really his only 2 mistakes that happened to be balls that went over the wall. Had those just, been a double or, maybe just a normal hit, we might be having different results and talking about it a little bit differently. But I thought he kind of got into a groove there, and he finished that game, I think, a lot like the Michael King that, I think we've been hoping to see all season long. Can he avoid the 1 or 2 mistakes today? And I think that's the kind of the goal. But I thought Mike threw the ball pretty well. I don't compare that last start similar to some of the other ones where the walk totals were up. And he had longer innings. I think he made a few mistakes. He paid for them. But outside of that, he was pretty good.
Yeah, we'll see how Michael King does today against this Mets lineup. Speaking of the Mets, old friend Robert Stock on the mound for the Mets today. Pitched for the Padres, it seems like an eternity ago. He's had a long, windy journey in professional baseball. To his credit, he has made it back to the major leagues, and he's pitching quite a bit differently than he did back in the day with the Padres. What do you think the keys are today against Robert Stock, a guy the organization has not seen in a while, and he's back in the major leagues now with the Mets?
I mean, first, kudos to Robert for kind of getting himself back in this position where we're actually having this conversation about him, and not only as a reliever, but as a starter.
Yeah.
Last time the Padres saw him, he was one of the hard throwers, trying to hit triple digits every single time he let go of the ball. So I just think for him, I think the Padres will probably try to wait him out a little bit. There's not a ton on him at this point. And kind of see where it goes. He's the type of dude who can run it up there in terms of velocity, but I think you'll kind of wait to see what the secondary stuff looks like. If it's something that they can kind of get him in a box and kind of put some pressure on him early, it's likely you can get into that bullpen a little bit early.
Yeah, for sure. We'll see how they do against Robert Stock here today. Tony, let's finish up with this and just to go back to the starting pitching. This number, and I read it a little bit earlier when I was with Ben and Woods. Last night, the 7th time in the past 10 games that a Padres starter went at least 6 innings. That happened just 3 times in the prior 25 games before this most recent 10-game stretch. And I'm sure if you go back even farther in the schedule, it's a similar type of eye-popping number. From the player's standpoint, when you are getting much more reliable starting pitching, what does that do for a ball club? Because that's certainly been a big change for this team since the trade deadline.
I think it works both ways, right? Yeah. From a pitching side and an offensive side. I think from an offensive side, it puts less onus on you having to get out the gate, put runs up early, because that's all fine and dandy when the offense is humming, but when it's not, it starts to turn into pressing, and we saw that from this offense. On the flip side, when a pitching is getting the type of offense you're getting, you're not having to go out there and be so perfect. And I think they both go hand in hand. Yes, the starting pitching has been so much better. You've seen, some consecutive 6 innings of work from this starting rotation. But I think the offense has also produced runs in a way that these pitchers don't feel like they got to go out there and be perfect. That was pretty much all of the first half, was the starting rotation. When it was good, knew they had to be perfect. When it was bad, they knew they had to be perfect. And that only kind of exacerbated some of the issues they have. Right now, they got kind of that perfect mix. Offense is humming, starting pitching is rolling, and the bullpen is doing what they've been doing all season.
Tony, good insight as always. We'll talk to you and Jesse coming up at the top of the hour. Thanks so much.
Take care, Sam.
All right, that is Tony Gwynn Jr. joining us on our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show as we get ready for first pitch coming your way at 10:10 a.m. local time here in Southern California. As always, when we have our Padres and Pancakes mornings, and certainly today qualifies here at 9:20 a.m., we invite you to get involved. You can find me on X at Sammy Lev, SammyLev. Instagram DMs open as well, Sammy Lev there too. You can also comment on the 97.3 The Fan YouTube stream. Let me know who you are, where you're tuned in from, and how are you getting ready to enjoy Padres baseball on this Wednesday morning. Maybe you're enjoying a cup of coffee. Maybe you've got a bagel with a little bit of cream cheese. Maybe, I don't know, you've got granola in the bowl. However you are getting ready to enjoy Padres baseball, would love to hear from you. And if you want to send a photo along, you can do that as well on social media. So we'll give you some shout outs as our pregame coverage rolls along. When we come back, we take our first look at today's Padres lineup. We will revisit what Craig Stamen had to say after yesterday's game. We'll also hear what Robbie Ray had to say after his win last night. Much, much more to come as we walk you up towards first pitch in New York City. Padres going for a series win and a winning road trip before they head back home to San Diego, a homestand beginning on Friday at Petco Park. Our pregame coverage continues after these words on the Padres Radio Network. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network on this beautiful Wednesday morning here in San Diego. First pitch coming up in New York City at Citi Field in Flushing, Queens. The rubber game of this 3-game series coming your way at 10:10 a.m. We send things out to Jesse and Tony in just about 35 minutes, right on the dot at 10 a.m. Still a lot to do on our pregame coverage. You'll hear from today's starting pitcher, Michael King, in just a little bit. You'll hear from Craig Stamen coming up in a little while as well. Robbie Ray, good start yesterday for the Padres. It was a little rough early on. He walked people. Ton of base traffic for the Mets. Mets ended up going 0 for 8 with runners in scoring position against Robbie Ray. But at the end of the outing, you looked up, it was a quality outing. 6 innings, 1 run allowed for Robbie Ray. Picked up the win in the Padres 5-2 win in New York. Fernando Tatis Jr., the play of the game, one of the plays of the season for the Padres, robbing a grand slam from Francisco Lindor in the second inning. An amazing catch, the swagger, the theatrics, the flair, all of it. So much fun to watch. Here was Robbie Ray on Padres TV after yesterday's game, his vantage point of Fernando's incredible catch.
I mean, it's amazing. He's easily one of the most athletic fielders I've ever seen. What he's able to do out there, just to be able to be in that spot, to make that catch was incredible.
What does it do for you on the mound afterward? Like knowing you just saved a few runs for you and then you can kind of take off from there? Yeah, I mean, it was huge. To be able to come out that inning with a 0, and then we scored some more runs. It was great. I was able to start, really attacking the zone, after those walks. I just kind of bared down and was able to go out and pitch my game.
Did you know he caught it immediately or?
No, I didn't. I didn't know. I saw him standing there after he hit the ground. That's why my reaction was a little delayed, and he held the ball up, and I was just in disbelief. It was amazing.
Do you feel like you've started to just settle in a little bit more here now? You have a couple weeks under your belt with this group.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like my delivery right now is in a better place than it was when, things were getting a little quick for me. I feel like I've been able to kind of nail some things down, working with Ruben and all the guys here. Definitely feeling more comfortable after a couple weeks here.
How would you describe that you do what you do, which is just bear down and get out of innings, get out of trouble?
Yeah, I mean, I've been in this game a while. I've been through a lot of circumstances and been able to get out of them for most of my career. So I think it's just experience.
That was Robbie Ray after yesterday's win. Robbie, a nice job yesterday. Quality outing, picked up the victory. As we get ready for this series finale, rubber game of this 3-game set, let's hear from Craig Stamen.
Let's pull up a seat in a manager's office and hear from Padres skipper Craig Stamen. Served up by Sinley Food. If you've had better chicken, you must be a rooster.
Look, I'll be honest with you. We're having a bit of a Fernando love fest right now. And after what he did yesterday and the way this guy is playing, you know what? It's a good day to do it. Here was Craig Stamen after yesterday's game. Again, day game after a night game, so no pregame media availability for Craig Stamen today. So let's revisit what Craig had to say, his thoughts on Fernando, what he did last night.
Pretty amazing to watch him out there. And, he doesn't just do it. He does it with a flair. And, the home run robbery was with a flare, the first pitch home run with a flare, and then the opposite field home run. All has a little bit of flair to it, and that's what makes Fernando who he is and why we love watching him and why we're happy that he's a Padre.
What was your view? I mean, it seemed like everyone thought he caught it but wasn't sure.
Once he flipped his hat off and his hair back, that's when I was like, I already caught it. Otherwise, I don't think he would have done that. But it's just a great catch. When Lindor hit it, I didn't think it was going to, get over the wall, but it definitely did. And, there's only so many people in the world that can go up and catch that fly ball, and Fernando's one of them.
You've been in the organization throughout his time here in different roles, but how would you kind of assess? He's impacted a lot of games, but tonight's to hit 2 homers and to do that, is this?
Yeah, it's up there as one of the most impactful games he's had as a Padre for sure. I think you look at how many runs he created and then how many runs he took away. That's a pretty big number. They talk about plus minus in the NBA and hockey and stuff like that, and that was a big plus minus game for Toddy tonight.
what does it say? Like he's doing kind of a lot of the things that he does when he's really going well. The take it home on the ground ball the other day. Like what have you seen recently from him? I know you've said he's been there all year, but anything in particular recently where he's come back to that?
I think it's just been a continuation of him not trying to be a certain type of baseball player, but just to be a great baseball player and impact the game in any way that he can. And I think he feels like he has so much, so many tools in his tool bag that he can find a way to create some havoc or take away runs or, do something good for the Padres in any aspect of the game. And he can do that with his speed. He can do that with his defense. He can certainly do it with his bat.
What do you think? What do you think of Robbie tonight? Kind of the way he worked through it.
Yeah, Robbie's that's kind of how he does it. He chucks the ball. He'll walk a few here and there, but he knows how to get out of jams. He knows how to pitch. He's going to give you 6 innings. That's just what he does. He's a very experienced, tough, competitive person and pitcher, and he fits right into our team.
That he is what you just said. How much of that was you putting him out in the 6th? Is there other guys that you might have pulled in a close game like that?
Yeah, exactly. I think he was definitely pitching better as the game went on, and a lot of it had to do with him facing the lefty right out of the gate in the 6th, and then he kind of cruised through that inning, got out of it, and 6 was a very good start for him. 6 innings, 1 run, 3 hits, pretty darn good.
Adrian grinded after saving the 7th inning and grinded it. What you think of his performance?
Yeah, very, very tough to come in a super high leverage situation, get out of that in the way he did against their best hitters, and then go back out for the next inning and have to, pitch another high leverage inning. Sometimes we take it for granted with Adrian because he gets out of it in like 15 pitches, but tonight was a little bit of work. To me, it was one of his best outings that he's had all year because he had to dig a little deeper and throw a ton of pitches and fight through a tough inning for him.
What's it, we'll ask Robbie this too, but as a pitcher, what's it do for a guy? You see a catch like that, you go from 4 runs down 4-1 to out of the inning, and then I think we're talking like the next 14 guys or 14 or 15 guys. What's the catch like that do for a pitcher the rest of his night?
Yeah, you talk about momentum switching. That was a big momentum switch for the entire game, and certainly the starting pitcher walks off the mound feeling like, man, I've got everybody behind me, and it's up to me to just throw some strikes and let my defense work. And I think that's kind of, he just settled down a little bit after that and was able to give us a really strong outing.
I'm sure you've asked this question a lot, let's call it months, but we all know how Fernando started out, and that wasn't him for 2 months. But what's it like for you guys to see these last 2.5 months after what he went through to get to the end of May?
Yeah, I think it just shows how tough he is mentally and how he's able to handle, the whole world dissecting his swing and what he was up to, and him to come out of it and believe in himself, and the coaches to kind of rally around him and give him the tools to, turn his season around and have some success. I think it was unfortunate that was at the very beginning of the season. If that type of slump happens in the middle of the year, we all say, well, that's just a slump in the middle of the year, but happened to be at the beginning of the season. But it just showed that he can overcome about anything. And we're seeing the best of Fernando Tatis right now. And sometimes that adversity makes you a little stronger than you were before.
No, we certainly are seeing the best of Fernando right now. That was Padres manager Craig Stammen last night after the Padres 5-2 win in New York. Sam Levitt back with you inside our San Diego studios as we walk you up towards first pitch, coming your way at 10:10 a.m. here on the West Coast as the Padres go for a series win against the Mets. As always, our pregame coverage brought to you by EcoWater SoCal, keeping it soft since 1925. Visit EcoWaterSoCal.com or call 760-350-3338. Let's tell you who's hot, who's not.
Which player is locked in at the dish? Who needs to step up their game? This is Who's Hot, Who's Not. Presented by ASAP Drain Guys and Plumbing, a division of Anderson Commercial, your full-service plumber serving San Diego County.
Let's begin with a couple of guys in the hot category this morning. Fernando Tatis Jr., 2 home runs last night. Now 10 home runs in his past 29 games. His 1,008 OPS leads the major leagues in that 29-game span. Jake Cronenworth in the midst of an 8-game hitting streak, batting .303 in those 8 games. And the not category, Sungmoon Song, offensively, now defensively, he's been terrific, but offensively, just 2 hits in his last 23 at-bats. And all three of those guys, Tatis, Cronenworth, and Song, in the Padres lineup here today. Speaking of the Padre lineup, looks like this. Fernando Tatis Jr. in right field leading off. Jake Cronenworth at second base batting second. Manny Machado at DH batting third. Ty France in the cleanup spot playing first base. Jackson Merrill in center batting fifth. Luis Rengifo in left field batting sixth. Luis Campusano doing the catching today, batting seventh. Xander Bogaerts at shortstop, batting eighth. And Sung Moon Song at third base and batting ninth, with right-hander Michael King on the hill. That's a look at who's hot, who's not. Starting lineup today for the Padres as they go for a series win. Let's take a look at some Major League headlines as we go around the horn.
Let's examine the most important news and the latest information you need to know in the world of Major League Baseball. Sam Levitt takes you around the horn. Presented by Valley View Casino and Hotel. Get ready for Major League winning when you join Valley View Casino and Hotel's Players Club and receive over $200 in free instant offers. Visit valleyviewcasino.com to learn more today.
A handful of headlines and storylines entering today's action across the major leagues. The A's' Tyler Soderstrom is headed for season-ending hip surgery after going on the IL for an impingement in the left hip earlier this week. The Dodgers put right-hander Edwin Diaz back on the IL because of inflammation in the right side of his neck. That's happened yesterday for the Dodgers. Yankees outfielder Cody Bellinger could begin a rehab assignment at AAA as soon as Thursday. As far as storylines entering today's action, and we will have a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard coming up in just a little bit. Paul Skeens returning to the mound after he was bumped from his scheduled Sunday start. The reigning National League Cy Young Award winner has a 5 ERA in his last 16 starts, and he also has had a dip in velocity. So that'll be a start people are watching for Paul Skeens today for the Pirates. The Cubs are looking to sweep the crosstown Chicago White Sox after recording their major league leading 12th and 13th walk-off wins of the season the last couple of nights. Pete Armstrong looking to homer in a fourth consecutive game. The Phillies looking to set a season high with 6 straight wins today as they take on the Marlins. And that is a look at some of the headlines from around the major leagues. When we come back, I go one-on-one with today's Padres starting pitcher, Michael King, our keys to today's game, and much, much more. First pitch coming up at 10:10 a.m. from the West Coast as the Padres take on the New York Mets in New York City today. Our pregame coverage continues after this.
Hello, friends.
Padres baseball coming up on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. Sam Levitt with you inside our San Diego studios. Our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show rolls right along. First pitch coming your way in under a half hour. We send things out to Jesse and Tony in less than 20 minutes. You'll hear from today's starting pitcher, Michael King, in just a little bit. Let's get into today's injury report. We have a significant update from the Mets, and let's also give you the latest on Joe Musgrove.
Who's in? Who's out? This is the Bada Fulkerson Injury Report, presented by San Diego's Bulldog Injury Attorneys, who hope you're never in an accident. But if you are, make Bada Fulkerson the first call you make. Hit him up 24/7 at badafulkerson.com.
Well, let's begin with Joe. Kevin Acee in the San Diego Union Tribune reporting earlier today that Joe Musgrove's next start will be in the minor leagues. He wrote, as of yesterday, the Padres were still determining whether that would be in AA or AAA. I'll read you what Kevin wrote here. Quote, virtually every sign has been highly encouraging as Musgrove's velocity and command have increased and the shape of his pitches has improved with each of his 3 rehab starts, but the Padres feel no need to rush him after acquiring Casey Mize and Robbie Ray. So, Kevin again reporting Joe Musgrove will make at least another start in the minor leagues before returning. So you kind of wondered, could he come back on Friday? According to Kevin Acee, that will not be the case. So that is the latest on Joe Musgrove. As far as the Mets, they put Jorge Polanco on the IL earlier today with left ankle bursitis. It turns out he's actually going to need season-ending ankle surgery. So it sounds like he's done for the year. Right-hander Jack Weisenberger was optioned to AAA Syracuse after yesterday's game. Chance McDermott, a right-handed pitcher, and infielder Eric Wagaman have been recalled from AAA Syracuse for the Mets. So they made a number of moves today, and they will be without in today's game and certainly moving forward. Jorge Polanco, who is supposed to be a big player for them this season, has not worked out particularly well this year in New York. And that is a look at today's injury news on the Padres side and on the Mets side of things. Let's take a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard.
Let's take a trip around the bigs to highlight the scores that matter most with our out-of-town scoreboard. Presented by Jensen Premium Beef Patties. Always a hit for grilling.
Now with the Mets on the, or I should say the Padres on the East Coast. Mets are on the East Coast too, of course. Everything else is coming up a little bit later on. Tigers and the Pirates, they're about to get underway in Pittsburgh. Like we said, Paul Skeens on the mound for the Pirates today. Braves and Twins at 10:40 a.m. in Minnesota. A.J. Smith-Shawver against Taj Bradley, the pitching matchup there. White Sox and the Cubs at Wrigley at 11:20. Sean Newcomb against Clay Holmes, the pitching matchup in that one. D-backs at Fenway against the Red Sox at 1:10 p.m. Pacific time. Brandon Pfaadt against Peyton Tolley, the pitching matchup at Fenway today. Marlins in Philadelphia against the Phillies at 3:05. Sandy Alcantara against Aaron Nola. Yankees and the Orioles in Baltimore at 3:35. Will Warren against Chris Bassett. Giants and the Guardians in Cleveland at 3:40. Matt Wilkinson against Parker Messick, the pitching matchup in that one. Cardinals and the Reds in Cincinnati at 3:40. Chase Burns on the mound for the Reds. Matthew Liberatore on the mound for St. Louis. Blue Jays and the Rays in Tampa Bay at 3:40. Max Scherzer against Drew Rasmussen. A's and the Royals in Kansas City at 4:40. Mariners and the Brewers in Milwaukee at 4:40. Logan Gilbert against Dustin May there. Nationals and the Rangers in Texas at 5:05. Cade Cavalli against Kumar Rocker, the pitching matchup in Texas today. Angels and the Astros in Houston at 5:10. Walbert Urania on the mound for the Angels. Ethan Pecco on the mound for the Astros. And Dodgers and the Rockies go at it in Colorado at 5:40 later on this evening. Roki Sasaki against Kyle Freeland, the pitching matchup there. And that is a full look at the out-of-town scoreboard. We'll have much more on those games coming your way on our post-game coverage once the games get going as the morning and afternoon rolls along. Well, Michael King on the mound for the Padres here today. Certainly had a fairly, pretty good outing, I would say, against the Cleveland Guardians his last time out. 6 innings, 3 earned runs given up. That's after he went 6 innings, gave up 1 run against the Astros. I caught up with Michael King before today's start.
Michael, based on what you've said throughout the season after your starts, it seems like
all year you've sort of been searching for that A plus version of yourself. As we come down the home stretch here, how do you feel about where you're at right now?
Definitely trending in the right direction. I went through say like May, June, where I was really searching for different feels that I hadn't felt in spring training or April, but still had decent numbers, and knew that it was going to kind of regress. So Ruben and I were working a ton mechanically to get that feel back, get the command back. I felt the velo ticked up as we started to make the correct adjustments, and now it's just like really getting the command of the stuff that I have.
Michael, when you say feel, is that the way the ball's coming out of your hand, or is that a pitch shape? What exactly does that mean when you say you're looking for a certain feel?
Yeah, it's honestly all of the above. There's a definite feeling of power, aggression, timing that all makes a throw feel very good. And I think that in April I was clicking it correctly to be able to get pitches in locations that I wanted to get them into. But you probably have seen there was like not a lot of swing and miss, a lot of 2 or 3 ball counts, and that was the problem with the mechanics. And I'd be able to click the 3-1 pitch in the right spot and get a rollover to get out of that inning. And so it started to regress in obviously a bad way. And as I started to have those mechanical feels, get more confident in those mechanics, the locations and everything came along with it.
Michael, obviously there's been a number of additions to this rotation the last couple of weeks, and Casey Mize and Robbie Ray. From your perspective, getting those guys in the building, what does it do for your rotation in this team?
Yeah, I mean, we had that pitching chaos for a while there. So now it's definitely more of a rotation. You bring in Robbie Ray, who's done it for 14 years and been a dog for that long, and I saw him win the Cy Young on Toronto, and ultimate competitor. And Casey's having an incredible year.
All year, and this is going back the last few years, the starting pitching group has always been really tight. I mean, you guys are always watching each other's bullpens and really vocally supporting one another. That's always been the case. Is it nice to get a couple of guys in the building that you can add to that group and you can learn from those guys?
Yeah, absolutely. I joked, forget where we were, but a month ago or something, I was throwing a bullpen, or I was throwing in a game, and you know how we all go out to watch the starter. And my pregame bullpen, Walker, was the only one that came out because all the other starters were in the bullpen. So we didn't have a group. You know, it was just me and Walker. And so, yeah, having those guys just to bounce ideas off of in the dugout, just watch Joe and Casey throw a bullpen and just being able to pick their brains on random stuff or hope to help them in any way is all we can ask for.
We're joined by Padres starting pitcher Michael King. Let's talk a little bit more about Joe, because it seems like he is getting closer and closer to returning. You had a chance to see Joe on the mound in 2024. I think you have a pretty good understanding of kind of what he means to this place and this city and what he's accomplished here. What's your level of anticipation for Joe, seeing him go through this rehab process, for him to finally get back on the mound here?
Yeah, we're all very excited. I mean, yeah, Joe's the big game pitcher that every team wants. And to have prime Joe back in this rotation, especially with the additions that we just got, makes it a very scary rotation. So seeing him on TV, watching his rehab games, he looked great. Seeing him throw a bullpen today, he looked great. All the stuff is coming out. The velo's there. He's recovering very well. So I'm very excited to have him for the stretch right here.
Finally, and you mentioned it, this is the stretch run, middle of August. There's a lot of jockeying going on as far as playoff positioning. You're trying to make the postseason, obviously, as a team, Michael. As we come down the home stretch, I mean, you can't impact every game, but you can very much impact a handful of them. How do you view your responsibility as you come down the home stretch?
Yeah, I mean, the goal is to win every game. Every time I pitch, I want to give the team a chance to win. Our offense has been clicking, so I know they'll have my back if I do scuffle a little bit, but hopefully there are no more scuffles and we ride off into the sunset. But I think that we're definitely having a lot of fun right now as a unit, and it's showing both offensively, defensively, pitching wise. Bullpen's been incredible all year. So yeah, we're very excited for the last few weeks here and to get into October.
Michael, good insight as always. Talk to you again down the road. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
How will the Padres unlock a win today? These are the keys to the game. Presented by Rock and Block Turf and Hardscapes. Beautiful artificial turf that stays green all year long. Trust and experience. The job isn't done until it's done right. See them at rockandblocklandscape.com.
Key number 1 to today's series finale in New York. Let's talk about the guy we just heard from, Michael King. Hey, Mike, keep it rolling. Can King keep this stretch of Padres' reliable starting pitching going today in New York? Last night was the 7th time in the past 10 games that a Padres starter went at least 6 innings. To give you a little bit of context, that happened 3 times in their previous 25 games. Padres starting pitching has been much, much more reliable lately. Can Michael King keep that rolling today? He has not been great against the Mets in his career, a 5.54 ERA and 8 career outings against them, 4 starts against the Mets. His last start against the Mets last September in New York, he served up 4 home runs, set career highs in hits and runs allowed. Just keep that in mind. Hopefully a much better outing today for Michael King. Key number 2, more Manny. Manny Machado broke a drought of 20 games and 76 at-bats without a home run when he hit his 24th home run of the season in last night's 9th inning. Hopefully more from Manny Machado here today. And key number 3, slow down the hot Mets hitters. Bo Bichette batting .382 with 10 RBIs in his last 14 games. After a 2-hit game on Tuesday, his batting average reaching a season-high .268. Going back to June 3rd, Bichette's 82 hits are tied for the most in the major leagues. And then also you got to limit Luis Torrens, former Padre. He's homered in consecutive games, has 3 home runs in his last 4 games. In fact, 5 of his 7 home runs on the season have come in his last 21 at-bats. So even though he's batting at the very bottom of the Met lineup, you got to be careful with Torrens down there. And that's a look at our keys to today's game. When we come back, we'll focus on the former Padres starting today's game for New York. That comes your way after this.
We'll be right back to the EcoWater SoCal Padres.
EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show continues here on the Padres Radio Network. We send things out to New York City. Jesse and Tony standing by. They come your way in under 5 minutes. Let's tell you what to watch for in this series finale.
What's the one thing Sam Levitt will be keeping his eye on in today's game? This is What to Watch For. Presented by Genesis Home Improvements, San Diego's trusted painting, roofing, and window company. Save 15% today on a new beginning for your home. Visit GenesisHomeImprovements.com.
What to watch for in today's game? How about this? Can the Padres hit Robert Stock? Yes, that Robert Stock, who opened his major league career with the Padres, the Blue Padres, back in the day, made 42 relief appearances with San Diego between 2018 and 2019. Think about this for a second. Robert Stock on that team. Luis Torrens, who's doing the catching today for the Mets. He was in the mix there in that period of time for the Padres, had a cup of coffee in September of 2019 with San Diego. Then you had Craig Stammen, on the team. You had Andy Green, the manager of the ball club. So pretty interesting to think about how it all shakes out. Now Andy Green's the manager of the Mets, Craig Stamen, the manager of the Padres. Stock making his fourth start of the year in 2 of his first 3. He was effective, gave up 1 run to both the Marlins and the Nationals. He also gave up 8 runs in Pittsburgh. He needed 84 pitches to finish just 4 1/3 innings against the Nationals on Friday. So the question here today, can the Padres hit the former Padre, a guy we have not seen in a long time? That is right-hander Robert Stock. When we come back, we send things out to Jesse and Tony. As always, we appreciate you listening to our EcoWater SoCal Padres pregame show on 97.3 The Fan and the Padres Radio Network. I'll talk to you on our post-game coverage. Enjoy the game, everybody. See ya.
Baseball and